Good morning. Good morning. Hold on a second while I go in all my places and make everything live. So, as I'm doing that, if you get here or when you get here, make sure you say hello and let me know you're here. Let me go over here. All these little windows to pop in. There we go. There's that one. And we are live. Beautiful, beautiful. So, like I said, as you get here, make sure that you say hello. And if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. So, let me get this other window open and we will be ready to go. All right. And we will be ready to go. Yep. All right. Here we are. Let me get this set up so I can see it. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm super excited to be here this morning with you all, and I had an amazing time at the masterclass yesterday. So thank you those that came to the masterclass. It was fun, and we explored some things. Even though I know one of our wonderful guests was not able to get on camera because she was listening at work, and so she couldn't really participate in some of the activities that we were doing. But she did say in the comments that she couldn't wait to watch the replay so that she could participate in them. So today, a little bit later today, I will be sending out an email with the replay and a little bit of information about it. So watch for that. And if for some reason your email doesn't show up by tomorrow morning, make sure you reach out to me and let me know so I can make sure that your email is listed correctly and that it's not getting lost somewhere, because I want to make sure that you can actually utilize the amazing class that we did, and because it was different from the first one. And so we're really excited, and I got some wonderful information last night. I did meet with the person who was thinking about maybe doing the financial part that I had talked about. So for those that weren't there, there is we're working on a program, and so we're just doing these master classes, giving you some of the things that are in the program, and whether you get into the program or not doesn't matter. It's us having the opportunity to share with you. But one of the things that we've done is with the program, we've got several people that are gifting workshops and recordings and different things for you to as a gift for actually joining the program. And so we talked about those, but one of them was like a mystery offer, because I felt like people, when they start doing all of these, implementing these things that we're talking about, are going to be making more money if money is their goal, right? And so one of the things that happens to a lot of people that have started getting more money is they start just raising their lifestyle to the level that it's still the same stress place that they were before. It never changes. And a lot of that's a mindset thing. And part of it is just not knowing. And so one of my goals was to have some type of workshop or something that would help us to, and I'm talking about me too, that would help to understand the money a little bit more and figure out ways to utilize the money and have more of it flowing in our lives, not just flowing out, right? And so I had a call yesterday with Luis, and he has agreed he's going to do a live workshop with the people who are in the program. And so I'm super excited. He's going to be sending me more of the details, and I'll share those later. But we've got amazing things that are happening, and it's just causing so much excitement within me. It's beautiful, right? Oh, I remember I didn't do one thing. Let me do this real quick. All right. Okay. So today, I am really looking at our imagination, and that's one of the things that are two of the things that we really talked about in the masterclass too. We did a very powerful visualization of releasing some of our limiting beliefs and recognizing some that we didn't even realize we had. And so that was very powerful. Everybody loved that. And then we did this game with Laura, because Laura is the improv expert. And it was really getting us into our imagination and our creativity. And so that was beautiful too. And so this morning, as I was getting ready and everything, I was trying to think what would be the best thing. And of course, I say my prayer, my thing in the morning, as you know, God give me the wisdom and the grace to know what everybody needs and to deliver that, right? And I know this is affirmations and journal prompts. Good morning, Erlyn. Great to have you here. But it is beautiful. And so anything that I can bring in to instill in you, then it's a day that's been amazingly worth it, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get to this affirmation so you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. All right, so our affirmation for today, hold on, I have to do some copying and pasting here. And good morning, Carrie. Good morning. So our affirmation for today is, and remember these I am statements are big things, right? I am a magnet for positive outcomes and I attract the best my imagination can offer. And that's why I was kind of talking about how we used our imagination in the masterclass, because we can imagine so many things. And if you're like me, in the past, I've really been gifted with imagining the worst case scenario. And and I've shared before about when I had the luncheon that I was going to with a group of people, and there was one person there that always really got on my nerves every single time. She always knew exactly what to say to make me go and want to sit somewhere else and not talk to her, right? And so as I was doing this work, I decided, let me play with some of this stuff and just see what happens if I do this differently. And so before I went, I actually started like a day or two before to kind of imagine. I used my imagination and I would walk through the scenario in my mind, the drive there, because it was about an hour drive to go to this lunch. And I would imagine parking the car and getting out and seeing everybody outside waiting. And then in my imagination, this person that always grated my nerves, always had something snappy to say when I got there. In my imagination, she walked over and she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you made it." And she gives me a hug, just nice and friendly. And then we chat a little bit. And then when we go into the restaurant, we inadvertently end up sitting next to each other. And we have the most pleasant conversation. Now, remember, this is all in my imagination. This is me getting prepared to go. And we even, in my imagination, as we left the restaurant, she gave me a hug and she said, "I'm so glad that we had this connection today and I appreciate you." And I left feeling great and went home, right? That was my imagination. So then what happened the day of is that I had the feeling and I thought about it all the way there. I was thinking about the scenario I had imagined, not the one I normally remembered. And as I'm doing all of that, I get to the restaurant, everybody's standing out front, and she steps forward and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you made it." And in that moment, I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is definitely different. I love it." We ended up standing there having a conversation. We did sit next to each other. We didn't just talk to one another, we talked to everybody. But when we interacted, it was pleasant. And so when I left, she gave me a hug and said, "Have a great day." And it was like such a very stark, huge difference in when I imagined it going so well, it did. And, the thing we talk about all the time is what we expect, we create, right? Because most of the time I would, on my way there, I would think, "Oh, she's going to say this when I get there. And this is what I'm going to say. And then she's going to say this and I'm going to get aggravated. And then I'm going to want to sit over here." And I would just go through the old scenario, right? I was practicing the wrong story. And so that's why, to me, it's important to be remembering that you are a magnet, right? Whether you're imagining the positive or the negative, you're magnetizing it to you. So today, we're going to take the value of our imagination and we're going to just make it bigger, because now we are going to be using this statement: I am a magnet for positive outcomes and I attract the best my imagination can offer. And man, can we imagine some amazing things if we choose to, right? And so we're opening up the heavens for God to send in some information to us. We're opening up our little portal in our head that allows the God voice to come in and us to actually listen. And we're opening up the fact that we now know that we are the magnet for positive outcomes. And so we're more inclined to be speaking on the positive and attracting such amazing things. And we can just let our imagination just go wild, because if we think that we're going to be able to bring in the things we imagine, how beautiful, right? And there's a good thing that it's not instantaneous, right? So we think, oh my gosh, I would love to have a steak dinner, and suddenly it pops in front of you, right? But there's a reason that there's a delay, right? So we can build up to things, because just think about it. If you imagine a bad scenario, like you're going into an area of town that you're not familiar with, and you say, oh, I just feel like I'm a little scared right now. What if somebody just popped up with a gun and everything? Well, that's your imagination. You're feeling it and everything. And what if just suddenly it did because you thought it? That wouldn't be good, would it? So you have this fleeting thought of a lion coming through your house and suddenly it pops up there. That wouldn't be good either. So it is a beautiful thing that it's not an instantaneous bringing to us, right? And so we are using our imagination and we're doing it on purpose, knowing that it's a process that we're going through. And we get to recreate. So, like today, you use your imagination for what you're needing, what you're wanting, right? And then you do the same thing tomorrow. You may decide, well, I really feel like maybe I wasn't articulating it well. Maybe what I'm really wanting to have happen in my imagination is this. And so we have this ability to reframe and redo every day if we choose. And so it's a beautiful thing. And as you're more and more aware of how much of a magnet you are, it becomes an even better story, a better game, an enjoyable life, right? And you can talk to people that say all the time, well, I imagine this would go just like that. And it's gorgeous, right? But then there's other people that will say, I knew that was going to happen. And so that means they were practicing that imaginative scenario in their mind. And yes, it did happen. So we get to choose. Do we want to be bringing in this beautiful, positive, imaginative outcome? Or do we want to drop into an old story, an old scenario? You get to choose. And so it's a beautiful choice. And some people will choose to think the positive things, and some people will choose not to. And that's okay. It's all who we are and who we want to be, right? Now I'm going to get to the journal prompt. Let me see here. All right, so a journal prompt today is: visualize a scenario where everything goes exactly as you hope. And just like I was telling the story of me going to that luncheon. So, is there something that's going on today? And I'll ask you guys, is there something that is coming up today that you could spend some time visualizing the scenario going exactly as you hope? just share in the comments if there is, then just put a yes in there. Because there is for me. I have a, what is it? I have a call that I'm going to be doing with someone who is wanting to be on my podcast. And we're going to have this conversation. And so I will imagine before I even get to the call how I want this to go. And I love talking to people about getting on my podcast. I really do. And, a lot of people, we don't even have this initial conversation. We just go straight to the podcast because I know just a touch of their story and I know I want to share it. And so I'm going to be like in my imagination going through, the whole call, and we will come out with a very, very positive outcome. And so that's mine today. And I have some clients this morning, and so I will do the same thing before I start with my clients. And it's going to a fashion show. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So before you go, get into your imaginative place and just visualize exactly how you want it to be, how you want it to go out, and then just play with that in your mind. And then if it's not happening till later today, I don't know when it is, but maybe if you could jump into this imaginative scenario several times before you go and really, lock in that feeling of it, because you're going to want to know how it feels. And in the moment at 7, okay, beautiful. So you'll have plenty of time to practice. And so you want to know how it feels. And as you're imagining it, get into that feeling. And like I've said before, any of the senses that you can bring in. So it's a fashion show. Does that mean that you will be touching fabrics, or you're just watching? Whatever you can do to bring in more of the senses, from the touch, the smell, the hearing, and bring in as much as you can, so it makes it more real as you're doing it. And then how can you align with what you're wanting to happen? How can you get that energy up as soon as you get there, bringing that energy, that feel of it going so amazingly well in that moment. And then the vibration of what you've got coming out around you will be magnetically bringing that scenario and the people that will help that scenario come to be, right? So that's beautiful. You'll have to let us know, Carrie, how that goes for you, and how close it comes to your imagination. Because one of the things that I have found is sometimes it's really spot on, like it's almost identical, and then other times it has bits and pieces. And so I'm always curious how it shows up for everybody else. And for me, I think sometimes when it only shows up bits and pieces, it's because maybe I didn't do the imagining often enough beforehand, or maybe I was in the thought of it, and because every now and then, especially if it's an emotionally charged thing that you're thinking of, that you're going to be going to, right? Then sometimes we'll be in the middle of imagining it going well, and then we'll pop into the old story, and then we have to get back in. And that's perfectly normal, especially when you first start doing this kind of thing. But the more you can stay in the vision and just really, really feel it, and like it's almost like you can't tell the difference that it's not happening, because you feel that in tuned with it. And be gentle with yourself if you can't get to that place, because it's like one of those things that just like riding a bike, you didn't get on the bike and just zoom out, you fell. All right. And so with this, the same thing happens, is that you have to give yourself a little bit of grace to know that it's a process, a learning process that you're going through, and it's perfectly okay. And to just keep doing it as often as you can, and you're going to be blown away with how much you can change the scenarios around you. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then what you want to do is, if you ever get into a situation that suddenly you realize you're there and you don't have time to do this pre-paving kind of thing, visualizing the scenario, right? Then, but you remember how it felt. So what the feelings are, what the energy is that you felt when you were doing the imagining, right? And good morning, Heather. And so when you can remember the feeling of that in the moment, you can bring that feeling up. And so that feeling in itself changes your energetic vibration, which will help in whatever situation you're going into, because we're all emitting this amazing energy about us. And if you're in that energy of things are amazing, things are going good, the scenario is great, there's no angst. If you're in that energy, then the angst that's out there is not going to get in, right? And so it's part of it is getting into this beautiful, beautiful place of being able to bring in this emotional, this energy, this vibration anytime you need it, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want to be able to be the master of our own ship. We want to be able to be the have the motorboat on the back of the sailboat, so that we're moving exactly the way we want, right? Not being tossed around and just letting things happen and falling into old patterns. So one of the best things to do is to use these processes. So remember, our affirmation for today is, I am a magnet for positive outcomes and I attract the best my imagination can offer. And then our journal prompt, visualize a scenario where everything goes exactly as you hope. And so I've got mine already written out. I haven't got it answered yet because I created it right before I got on here. So I went ahead and wrote it in. And the thing is that before you start doing this process, like I say all the time, take some time to just get in the moment, get grounded into your space, and calmly quiet your mind by focusing on some things in your environment. So whether it's, the sound of the ceiling fan, the sound of your computer or your phone, or a sound that you hear. Maybe you're feeling the breeze of the ceiling fan, whatever it is, bring yourself into that moment. Breathe, get quiet inside, and then that's when you start writing this stuff out, because then you get so much more information from God, the universe, to help you through this process. And let's face it, we can use all the help we can get, right? So we want to be open to all the amazing synchronicities that are going to come to us, all the magic that can happen in our lives. And we're just going to create this life that we want. And this is the beginning. This is the part of it. And so the reason I'd like for you to write this affirmation in the journal prompt down in your journal or on your notebook and put the date is because the things that you write today, and 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, when you look back, you're going to be blown away that those scenarios panned out, or, that the feelings that you had in that moment, it's like, wow, I can't believe I've grown so much that seems foreign to me. You can just see your growth, because like I tell you all the time, we're not the same person we were yesterday. The only thing constant in life is change. And so we're changing. Hold on, my phone is ringing. We are changing every day. We're changing who we are, how we show up in the world, what our vibration is, by the things that we do, the things that we think, the things we listen to, right? And so doing this process here changes you. But tomorrow you do another one, that changes you. And that becomes your new normal. And every day, it's these little slight changes every single day create exponential growth. 1% every day changes you. Whether you feel it in the moment or not, it changes you. But the only reason that you can actually look back and see this is how far you've grown is because you've got something that you can measure it by. And for me, I think I've told you guys before, and I don't know if you guys were here when I told, but I started this journey with becoming a transformational coach and a hypnotist and everything because I had been yo-yo dieting my entire life. And I finally just said, it was like, I've got to do something different. I've either got to make peace with being fat and just be okay with it, or I've got to make a change. And it was my decision was I got to make a change. And that's when I went on this quest, this search to figure out how to make it happen. And I got started in health coaching school because this school was, their specialty was creating habit change. And I wanted to change my habits so bad I could taste it, right? Taste it, and so I started with that. And I thought, if it doesn't help anybody but me, it would be the money well spent. And then, good morning, Kimmy. And then I even expanded it and went into life coaching and all of the fields with this. Yes, yes. And then I decided that life coaching wasn't, I wanted more. So then I went into this mastery transformational coaching. And then it was like I needed something more. So I went into hypnosis. And so I've just been grabbing all of these amazing things to help me. But the reason I'm telling you that when I talk about our measuring stick is because I still feel like I could release some weight, right? I feel that my body doesn't look exactly like I want it to, right? And I know all that. The thing is that I was really giving myself a hard time for that not too long ago. And then I came across this picture, this photo of me years ago. And it was like, holy shit, I didn't even recognize myself. And it was like my mind was blown because it had been changing all the time, right? They've been changing this for years. And even though I'm not exactly where I want to be, when I looked at that, I thought, holy moly, look how far I've come. And so if we don't have something that we can look back, our affirmation, our journal prompts, that we can look back, this is a visual of my body and I can see a huge difference. But do we have a visual of our mind? No. So that's why this is so important to be writing these things down, getting your mind into it and just brain dumping as much as you can, putting the date, having something that you will have to look at later and just see the internal growth, right? And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I want to make sure that you understand how amazing it is to have something that you can look back on and see, right? Not just a photograph of your body and those changes, but a photograph of your mind and what's going on in there and letting you see how amazingly different and more magnetic in life that you are. And so I'm gifting you this today. So make sure you're writing it on your affirmation on your index cards, your sticky notes, your screensaver, your mirror, wherever you can put it so that you're saying this to yourself today. Let's go back to it because it's amazing. I am. And remember, anything that comes after the words I am are ultra powerful. And that's why when you are saying something, if somebody says, how are you? And you're not feeling quite well, you don't say, I am not quite well. You say, I feel. You take the am off of it. I feel a little under the weather today, but it's getting better because you're taking ownership when you say I am. And I know it's a thing that we do all the time. And when it's like, I remember the other day I was trying to do something on the computer and I was like, my mind was blown. It was like, I don't know. And I said, I'm so confused. And then I thought, wait a minute. Do I want to be confused? No, I don't. So I changed it and I said, I feel a bit confused right now because I don't know the answer, but I'll find it. And So it's a powerful thing. And so no matter how long you've been doing this, you pop into those moments where you say, I am the non-powerful thing, right? But the beauty is that now that you know, you catch yourself and you redo it. It's almost like you say, bring those back in, take those words back, and then you rephrase it so that it's powerful. Because we want to ask ourselves, we want to make powerful I am statements, and we want to ask ourselves powerful statements. So if there's something that's showing up in your life over and over and over again, instead of saying, why does this always happen to me? The question is, how can I make this not happen again? And so we ask questions that enable God, the universe, to give us powerful answers. And so I know I've kind of gone off on a tangent, and I tend to do that. I don't know why, but it's like, thank you, Heather. Thank you, Carrie. The 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 things that we can say and make such an amazing difference in our life is just, to me, the more I learn about it, the more I'm just in awe of how powerful we are. And we just don't utilize it as much as we can. And so that's why getting into this imaginative visualization place where you're this magnet for positive outcomes, right? It's beautiful. So go ahead, make sure today you write this down so that you have the physical, visual evidence of how much you change inside. This is helpful, changing my words. Yes, yes. Thank you for that, Kimmy. So I have a client to get to, so I have to pop off. But just really quick before I do, just make sure that if you're watching from one of the other platforms and you're not a member of this amazing Stand Up and Stand Out community, then you are welcome to join. If this feels like something that would benefit you, then definitely go to VickyPoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com. And when you're prompted with questions, make sure you answer the questions, because lately I've been deleting quite a few people, because if you don't answer the questions, you don't get to be in this amazing space, because we are all amazing. And we want to make sure that everyone who enters our world is willing to sit around the campfire and sing kumbaya and just have a magnificent life, right? We want to make sure. And that's one of the things that I can do to make sure that the people that are coming into our world want to participate and be powerful creators along with us, right? And then just to make sure you remember that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, once again, I will be here with another affirmation and journal prompt. And so I would love for you guys to be here again. I would love for you to reach out to somebody else in the group, or if you have a friend that you think would be amazing to be in this group, give them the link and tell them to make sure they answer the questions, because I'd love to have even more of you glorious people here. So anybody that's a friend of yours that's here right now, I would love to have as a friend of mine. And so please, if you want to have them join you in the morning affirmations and journal prompts and the other things that are happening in the community. So really quick, let me remember, on Friday the 14th, Wendy will be here live with an amazing thing about communicating, learning how to communicate before you're even in the relationship. It's going to be amazing. So you're going to want to be here. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm just so stoked and looking forward to that, because she's creating this just for you, because I had put up a poll asking questions, and the question most people want, or the statement that most people wanted, was to be able to communicate even though they weren't in a relationship right now. They wanted to be proactive and be able to communicate better when they do get in a relationship. So it goes so much more amazingly well, right? And so she's created something just for you. All right. So you have a magnetically blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Mwah. Love you guys.